I never imagined it would come to this, walking into my own daughter's wedding, the one I'd worked my whole life to give her, only to have her look me straight in the eye and say coldly, "Dad, you weren't invited. Please leave." Her words didn't just sting, they hollowed me out. I turned and walked away quietly, trying not to show the crack in my chest. But what she didn't know was that before the night was over, her fairy tale wedding would turn into something far darker. Was it revenge? No. Call it justice. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The moment is burned into my mind. A champagne flute slipped from my hand, shattering across polished marble like falling stars. Each sharp fragment reflected the stunned horror on Olivia's face. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she demanded, her voice slicing through the polite chatter of well-dressed guests. She stood there in a gown I had paid $14,000 for, the silk rustling as she backed away. "You weren't supposed to come." I froze in the entryway of that grand ballroom, still clutching the carefully wrapped gift box I'd brought with my own 2 hands. White Ecuadorian roses, flowers that cost me more than I care to admit, perfumed the air, mixing with the cloying sense of designer cologne and quiet judgment. The chandelier above scattered rainbows across walls I had rented with 3 months' profit. "It's your wedding day, sweetheart," I said, though my voice sounded smaller than I wanted. "I came to wish you well." Her fiancé, Daniel, appeared beside her, sharp tuxedo, sharper smile. "Mr. Hale," he said smoothly, "there must be some misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? I looked between them, searching for some trace of the little girl who used to beg me to push her higher on the backyard swing. Olivia's eyes darted toward the crowd, women whispering behind crystal glasses, men in $1,000 suits pretending not to eavesdrop. "This is a private family event," she said, voice tight, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Immediate family only." Her words struck like a bucket of ice water. 28 years of bedtime stories, scraped knees, braces I'd worked overtime to pay for, dismissed in a single sentence. "I paid for this wedding, Olivia," I told her flatly. "Every flower, every plate, that dress you're wearing." Daniel's jaw flexed. "Money doesn't buy class, sir." "He's right," Olivia whispered, refusing to meet my eyes. "This isn't about money. It's about belonging. You don't understand the people here." But I understood perfectly. Men like me, who built the houses these guests lived in, were not welcome at their cocktail parties. I had been useful until my checkbook was empty. The room fell into silence. Even the photographer lowered his camera. The quartet kept playing, oblivious, their music mocking the moment. "I see," I murmured. Setting the gift box on a nearby table crowded with orchids and untouched champagne, I straightened my shoulders. "I wouldn't want to embarrass you." "Dad, please," she whispered. "Don't make this harder." I studied her face, memorizing the green eyes she got from her mother, now cold as stone. The smile I'd worked myself ragged to straighten with braces was turned away from me. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't belong here." The walk to the exit felt endless. Heels clicked behind me, whispers swelled again, and someone laughed, high and false. My work boots, polished just for this day, echoed heavy on the pristine marble. Outside, the spring air hit like a slap. The parking lot gleamed with luxury cars I'd never afford, while my pickup sat alone in the farthest corner, right where people like me belonged. I pulled out my phone. The screen lit up with missed calls from my lawyer about a property dispute, but I scrolled past them. My thumb hovered over a contact I hadn't called in months, Lone Star National Bank Business Services. Inside that hall, Olivia was beginning her new life without me. Out here, I was about to start mine without her. The heavy doors shut behind me with the sound of a vault closing. Music from the ballroom faded to a murmur as I walked across asphalt toward my truck, each step slower, steadier, more deliberate. The gift I'd brought sat abandoned inside, just like everything else I'd given her. A chill March wind carried the damp smell of rain. Clouds thickened over the Gothic spires of the venue, casting shadows over polished cars worth more than most homes. My boots crunched gravel as I reached my old truck, keys already in hand. Inside the cab, silence wrapped around me like armor. The dashboard clock glowed 3:47 p.m., just enough time before the banks closed on Saturday. Enough time to set things in motion. I scrolled my contacts, found the number again, and pressed call. My finger lingered for 3 long seconds before committing. "Lone Star National Bank," a bright voice answered. "This is Monica." How can I help you today? Monica, this is Richard Hale. Account number 7794512. I need to put a stop on several transactions immediately. Her voice was calm, professional. Of course, Mr. Hale. Let me bring up your account. For verification, I'll need your social security number and your mother's maiden name. Routine stuff. I rattled off the answers while watching through the glass doors as more guests filed into the venue, women shimmering in silk gowns, men fussing with cufflinks that probably cost more than my first pickup. None of them had the faintest idea what was about to unfold. Thank you, Monica said after a pause filled with typing. I'm seeing multiple large transactions today. Which ones do you want to stop? All of the wedding expenses, I said evenly. That means the venue rental, catering deposit, floral contracts, photography package, music services. Every last one. I listed them as if I were reading off an inventory sheet. Her fingers clattered across the keyboard. Sir, these are substantial amounts. Are you sure you want to cancel everything? Absolutely. Circumstances have changed. More keyboard clicks. For transactions over $10,000, I'll need the authorization codes. I gave them to her without hesitation. 25 years running my construction company had drilled every number and contract detail into my head. Forgetting wasn't an option. Stop payments are now in effect, Monica confirmed. I'm generating confirmation codes as we speak. Is there anything else? That handles the bank side. Thank you, Monica. I ended the call and immediately dialed the next number, San Antonio's most expensive catering service, the very one Olivia had insisted on despite my warnings. Elegant Affairs Catering, this is Adrian speaking. Adrian, this is Richard Hale. I'm calling regarding the Morgan wedding reception that's underway right now. Yes, Mr. Hale. Everything is going beautifully. Guests can't stop raving about the hors d'oeuvres. I'm afraid you're about to run into a problem. The payment authorization for your contract has been revoked. Effective immediately. There was a pause long enough to hear the hum of his kitchen behind him. I'm sorry, what exactly are you saying? I'm saying the bank has blocked payment. I'd suggest you gather your equipment and food supplies before you lose more than you already have. But we're in the middle of service, the main course hasn't even gone out yet. That is unfortunate timing, I said, my voice steady, almost polite. You'll want to speak with the wedding party about alternative arrangements. The line went dead. Adrian was no fool, better to cut his losses than argue. Next was the florist. Clara picked up on the second ring. Bellingham Blooms, this is Clara. Clara, this is Richard Hale about the Morgan wedding. Yes, Mr. Hale. The arrangements are breathtaking. The bride loved the orchids. There's been a banking issue. Your payment authorization has been cancelled. If you want to salvage anything, you'll need to come collect your flowers. Her voice caught. Collect them? They're part of the entire design, woven through the altar, the tables. Business is business, Clara, I said flatly. Move quickly. And so it went. 3 more calls, photographer, string quartet, linen rental. Each one ending the same, politeness, alarm, then abrupt hang-ups as they realized the truth. When I ended the last call, the dashboard clock read 4:15 p.m. Through my windshield I spotted a white catering van rolling toward the service entrance. Adrian, I guessed, moving fast to protect his gear. Inside, Olivia was still playing the radiant bride, no doubt oblivious to the unraveling. Daniel was probably puffing his chest to his father's business friends, convinced of his own superiority. Neither had a clue about the storm bearing down. I started my engine, eased the truck out of the space, and rolled past the venue's grand entrance. Through the tall windows, I caught flashes of the celebration, champagne glasses raised, elegant figures gliding across polished floors, the picture of perfection. All of it about to come crashing down. My phone buzzed. Olivia's name lit the screen. I let it ring, my eyes flicking to the clock, 4:20 p.m. That's when another vehicle pulled in, this time a white panel van with Bellingham Blooms painted across the side in looping script. Clara was behind the wheel, flanked by 2 assistants. They unloaded empty containers with brisk efficiency. From the windows, I could still see the cocktail hour humming along. Crystal glasses sparkled beneath chandeliers while Olivia's imported orchids decorated every corner. Daniel, as expected, gestured animatedly in his little circle of expensive suits, likely selling some story about his latest venture. But soon, reality walked through the side doors. Clara entered the ballroom carrying 2 plastic bins, her assistants grabbing smaller displays. Guests began to notice. Laughter dimmed, conversations faltered. Confusion replaced cheer as the florist team strode directly toward the altar arrangements. "Excuse me," Olivia said sharply, plastering on her practiced smile. She stepped forward, silk and pearls swishing as she moved. "We're in the middle of our reception." "Whatever you're after can wait until the party's over," Olivia said, trying to hold her smile together. Clara didn't flinch. She stood there clutching a bundle of white orchids like she was carrying evidence. "Ma'am, my name is Clara. I'm with Bellingham Blooms. The payment for these arrangements was cancelled 40 minutes ago. I'm here to take back what belongs to us." Olivia's grin wavered, though she fought to keep it in place. "That can't be right. Everything was paid weeks ago." Clara's tone stayed firm but professional. The account holder, Richard Hale, reached out himself. "Every payment has been revoked. I have written clearance to reclaim our property." I wasn't inside to see it firsthand, but I could picture the color draining from Olivia's cheeks. Guests froze in place. Their polite conversations fell silent. Daniel stormed across the ballroom, his stride sharp, his jaw tight. "What exactly is going on here?" His voice carried the weight of someone used to barking orders, not receiving them. "Payment issues, sir," Clara answered calmly. "We're here to collect merchandise that hasn't been paid for." Her assistant was already wrapping the altar display in plastic, methodical and unbothered by the stares. "This is outrageous," Daniel snapped, his face reddening. "Get your manager on the phone this instant." Clara looked him square in the eye. "I am the manager. And our contract is clear, once payments are cancelled, we're no longer obligated to provide service." She gave a small nod, and her crew spread out, dismantling table centerpieces while guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Meanwhile, outside, the elegant affairs catering van rolled up. Adrian climbed out with 3 of his staff, none of them smiling. They came through the main doors, heads high, no attempt to hide their purpose. Olivia stood frozen, watching her carefully chosen orchids vanish into plastic bins. Her polished facade cracked, fine lines of panic spreading like fractures in glass. "There must be some mistake," she whispered. "My father wouldn't, he couldn't." Adrian approached, clipboard in hand. His tone was brisk, almost military. "Ma'am, food service has to stop immediately. At 4:15, our payment was cut off. By contract, we're required to secure our equipment and remaining supplies." Daniel stepped between them, voice booming. "This is my wedding. You can't just shut everything down." Adrian didn't flinch. "Sir, that's exactly what we must do. When payment vanishes, protocol says we lock it down. No exceptions." He signaled his team, and they started draping white cloths over the buffet lines. Guests clutched untouched champagne flutes, eyes darting nervously. A phone rang somewhere, loud, jarring. The quartet stopped mid-song as their tech team unplugged microphones and powered down speakers. Even the mood lighting dimmed when the sound guy yanked his cables. Olivia stood in the middle of it all, her gown still immaculate, but her reception collapsing like a stage set being torn down. "No, not today. Not like this." Daniel turned on her now, suspicion hardening his voice. "Olivia, what sort of deal did your family make? Did you know about this?" I don't know," she stammered. "Everything was supposed to be handled." Her voice cracked, raw with panic. The venue coordinator appeared, phone still pressed to her ear. She looked reluctant to even approach. "Mrs. Morgan, I just spoke to our accounting office. Every single payment for today came from one source, Richard Hale. That account has pulled authorization. Everything is cancelled." Olivia's mask shattered. She wasn't the elegant bride anymore, she was my little girl again, blindsided, finally realizing the depth of her father's generosity and the price of her betrayal. Hands trembling, she pulled out her phone, scrolling to my number. Out in the parking lot, I saw her silhouette in the doorway, phone clutched tight against her ear. My own phone buzzed on the dashboard. Her name glowed on the screen. I didn't answer. Not yet. 25 years of sacrifice had built to this moment. I'd believed giving her everything would teach her gratitude, but instead it had raised someone who thought loyalty could be bought and discarded. She was only 3 when her mother died. Cancer tore Sarah from us in 6 bitter months, leaving me alone with a little girl who woke up crying for "Mommy" every night. I could have remarried. Plenty of folks urged me to. But I swore I'd be mother and father both. At 5 years old, curled in pink pajamas, Olivia would plead, "Daddy, just one more story." I'd already read 3, had an early meeting in the morning, but those green eyes, Sarah's eyes, always won me over. "Of course, sweetheart," I'd whisper, holding her close. "Daddy always has time for you." That became my creed. Richard Hale always had time for Olivia. Time, money, sweat, whatever it took to make her life brighter. When she turned 8, I drained half a quarter's profits to send her to Alamo Heights Academy. The best education money can buy, I told myself while writing checks that meant fewer tools for the business, fewer comforts for me. She hugged me so tight when I broke the news. "Thank you, Daddy. I'll study really hard and make you proud." She really did give her best in the early years. Straight A's lined her report cards all through grade school. I was always that dad sitting in the very first row at school plays, clapping so hard my rough, calloused hands stung. Olivia would come running after curtain call, cheeks glowing with pride. "Daddy, did you hear me?" I remembered every single line. "I thought about you the whole time." Back then, I believed her. But high school shifted everything. Alamo Heights Academy placed her shoulder to shoulder with kids whose parents owned vacation homes and trust funds. Suddenly, Olivia was measuring her life against theirs. Her 16th birthday party could have bought someone a used car. There was catered food, fancy decorations, and when she spotted the Honda I parked in the driveway with a bow on top, her smile faltered. "Dad, everybody else gets BMWs. This is kind of embarrassing." That was 2015. That was the first real crack in the wall, the first time money wasn't a gift, it was an expectation. College nearly bled me dry. Rice was her dream school, and I wanted to give it to her. Tuition alone was bad enough, but then came the extras, sorority dues, South Padre Island spring breaks, study programs in Spain. Each semester brought a new bill stamped urgent in her voice. "Dad, I need $3,000 for the business fraternity trip. It's important for networking." Her calls stopped being conversations and turned into transactions. And visits home? Just holidays, if I was lucky. Graduate school brought Daniel into the picture. He had old money, family ties, the whole pedigree. Everything I couldn't hand her, no matter how many hours I put into the business. That's when she started poking at me, little digs at family dinners. "Dad, maybe you could wear something besides those work boots when Daniel's friends come by." The little girl who once begged me for bedtime stories was suddenly embarrassed by the man who'd worked his whole life to make sure she never wanted for anything. My success in construction, the very thing that bankrolled her life, didn't count in her new circle. To them, I was just a reminder of the wrong kind of work. I'll never forget last Christmas. She introduced me to Daniel's parents with a polite smile and said, "This is my father. He runs a small business. 25 years of sweat and sacrifice, 60 employees relying on me, the money that built her lifestyle, and I was reduced to a small business owner." Then came the wedding talks. "No, thank you, Dad," or "We'd be grateful for your help." Just, "We need to talk about funding. Daniel's family has expectations." The planning sessions felt like board meetings. Olivia showed up with spreadsheets, Daniel chimed in about efficiency, and every line on that paper was another few months of my labor. Flowers shipped from Ecuador. Champagne that cost more per bottle than one of my men earned in a day. A gown that could have covered someone's rent for half a year. It's not about the money, Dad. It's about quality. Daniel's family knows quality. Quality bought with my money, but paired with the belief that my very presence would cheapen the occasion. The irony cut deep, the same work that made her fairy tale possible made me unworthy to witness it. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Olivia's third call in 5 minutes. Through the windows of the venue, I could see her pacing, dress trailing like a flag of surrender. 25 years of sacrifice had brought us here, not to a grateful bride, but to a desperate woman realizing too late what she'd thrown away. The irony was brutal but poetic. The love that had spoiled her was about to show its real weight. I finally picked up the phone as I eased out of the parking lot. Olivia's frantic outline grew smaller in my rearview mirror. Her dress shimmered under the chandeliers, her phone glowing like a flare in the dusk. Calls kept coming. 10 minutes into the drive, I was at 5 missed calls, each one more urgent than the last. By the time I pulled into my driveway, there were 4 voicemails waiting. I sat in the garage with the engine off, the door closing behind me like a stage curtain, and listened to them one by one. The first, "Dad, something's wrong with the payments. Please call me back, this is a mistake." The second, "This isn't funny anymore. Vendors are leaving. Everyone is staring. Just call me." The third, "Please, Dad, I don't understand. Daniel's family is asking questions. I can't explain." The fourth came broken, her voice shaking. "I need you. Please, pick up. Please." The phone rang again before I could pocket it. Olivia's graduation photo filled the screen, her smiling in a cap and gown, the last time she'd hugged me without wanting money afterward. I answered on the 5th ring. "Hello, Olivia." "Dad. Finally. What have you done? How could you destroy my wedding?" Her voice didn't hold arrogance anymore. Just raw panic. And that was good. Panic meant reality was sinking in. "I didn't destroy a thing," I said evenly. "I just stopped paying for it." "You can't do this, Dad. It's my wedding day," Olivia cried into the phone. 60 guests are standing around asking why the flowers vanished and why dinner service stopped. Her voice didn't carry the muffled hum of music anymore. Instead, I heard echoes, the hollow sound of a hotel lobby. That told me everything, the venue had shown them the door. "Olivia," I said evenly, "before we go any further, I need you to answer me straight. When's the last time you thanked me for anything I've ever done for you?" She sounded offended. "What? Dad, this is not the time for lectures. Just call the vendors, fix this disaster. Answer the question." Dead air stretched between us. Somewhere close by, I caught Daniel's sharp voice cutting in, frustration leaking through the phone. Olivia finally sputtered, "I don't remember exact times, but I've always been grateful. You know that." "No," I told her flatly. "I don't know that. All I know is that 3 hours ago, my only daughter looked me in the eye and told me I didn't belong at her wedding. A wedding I paid for in full." "I didn't mean it that way," she rushed to say, her tone softening into that familiar sing-song plea she'd perfected back in college whenever she wanted a South Padre Island trip or a new credit transfer. "I was just nervous, wedding jitters. Please, Dad, I'll make it up to you. We can sort it out later. But right now, please authorize those payments so we can salvage what's left." "What's left?" I asked. "The cake's still here. Some guests are hanging on. The photographer hasn't left yet. We might be able to work something out if you'll just." "And how exactly do you plan to pay for that?" Silence stretched longer this time. Then, softly, I thought, "You'd handle it. You always handle it." "That's right. I always have." I let the words hang. "Do you have any idea how much I've spent on you since your mother passed?" Her voice came back tight with impatience. "Dad, please don't make me guess numbers right now. I'm in crisis mode." "Guess anyway. Ballpark it." "I don't know. 50,000, maybe?" I almost laughed. 50,000 wouldn't have covered your sophomore year at Rice. Her breath caught. "Olivia," I said, "I've spent over $300,000 on your schooling, housing, travel, and every little thing you ever asked for. And that's not even counting what today cost me." On the other end, I could hear only her breathing. Shaky. Uneven. 300, she whispered. "That can't be real. It's conservative. Every cent is documented. Why are you throwing this in my face now?" "Because you've never asked before," I said quietly. "Not once in 25 years did you stop to wonder what it all cost, or what toll it took on me. You never cared about the burden, you only cared about the benefits." "I'm your daughter," she snapped, as if that alone was the answer. "Yes," I said, "and I loved you enough to shoulder everything for your happiness. But tell me, Olivia, what have you ever sacrificed for mine?" Daniel's voice rose in the background. Muffled words. "An argument, no doubt." Olivia came back, her voice quivering. "Dad, Daniel's family is furious. They're pressing me about our finances, asking how we'll cover the bills. That's a problem for you and your husband, I replied. But I don't have that kind of money, you know I don't. Then maybe it's time you learn how to earn it. She went quiet. 30 long seconds ticked by before she whispered, "What do you want from me?" "I want you to realize what you tossed aside this afternoon. You dismissed the man who built your entire world with his bare hands." "I understand now. I was wrong," she begged. "Please, can we fix this?" "We'll see," I said. "I'm reviewing everything. There will be documentation. We'll talk when I'm ready." Then I ended the call. Through my kitchen window, San Antonio's lights glittered on the horizon. My daughter was out there somewhere, staring down her first night without financial rescue. Her education, her real education, was only just beginning. Warm lamplight filled my home office, throwing shadows across 25 years of meticulous records. Filing cabinets stood in neat rows like soldiers, each drawer a ledger of my life and her upbringing. Tonight, they would finally serve their purpose. I poured fresh coffee, steam curling in the quiet house, and slid open the first drawer marked Olivia, Education 2020. My fingers already knew the rhythm: pull a folder, log the numbers, build the ledger. Alamo Heights Academy came first. 12 years of tuition, every receipt preserved. $8,000 a year at the start, climbing to $12,000 by her senior year. All told, $126,000. A new spreadsheet blinked open on my laptop. Columns sprang to life: date, description, amount, category, running total. Fatherhood reduced to numbers, but numbers don't lie. Next came Rice University. That folder bulged like a swollen ledger. Tuition alone hit $48,000 per year for 4 years. Room and board stacked another $16,000 annually. Study abroad in Spain, $9,100. Junior year spring break in South Padre Island, $4,200. Olivia had insisted it was all essential networking. Line by line, page by page, the numbers rose like a mountain. Rice total, $292,000. And I had just begun tallying. 4 years of college bled more money than most folks could earn in 5 solid years of labor. When I opened the transportation folder, another painful pattern came clear. Her first set of wheels came at 16, a reliable Toyota Corolla, $19,000, bought with my peace of mind in mind. Within 6 months she wrinkled her nose. "Everyone else drives BMWs and Mercedes, Dad. This Toyota's embarrassing." By 19, I caved. A Mercedes C-Class for $38,000. At 25, she needed an upgrade again. A BMW X3 this time, because Daniel's friends drove luxury SUVs and she couldn't be seen pulling up in something modest. Each car came with its own hidden costs: the insurance premiums, the maintenance schedules, the registration renewals. Bills she never once had to open, because good old Dad quietly absorbed them. My phone buzzed on the desk. Olivia again. I let it ring out. Instead, I added another line to the growing spreadsheet. Another folder told a darker tale, the one marked technology and living expenses. There it was, the shiny iPhone 14 Pro Max, $1,199. Then the post-graduation apartment in Houston's River Oaks, $2,800 rent every month for 3 straight years. Credit card balances I covered whenever her networking dinners and designer shopping sprees ran past the generous allowance I already gave her. 2 years of steady $100 charges at Tazu's, a trendy cafe she frequented like it was her office. Designer boutiques, spa days, trips with friends whose parents subsidized the same spoiled lifestyle. The totals didn't just add up, they compounded like bad interest. By midnight, the breakdown stared back at me from my laptop screen. Education, $430,000. Transportation, $83,000. Housing support, $132,000. Personal expenses, $175,000. Wedding, $156,000. Nearly $1 million. $976,000, to be exact. A lifetime's worth of work poured into one person's comfort. And the worst of it? Every penny had seemed justifiable in the moment. Private school was an investment. College was the key to doors. A dependable car meant safety. Stylish clothes built confidence. The wedding was supposed to be the celebration of a lifetime. But the ledger told the truth. Olivia had never contributed so much as a dime toward her own support. No steady jobs, no sacrifices, no real gratitude. I flipped open the old photo albums I kept on the bookshelf, half hoping to remind myself why I'd done it all. There was Olivia at 8, gap-toothed, glowing on stage after her first school play. "Thank you for coming, Daddy. Did you hear how loud everyone clapped?" Then at 12, standing tall after winning the spelling bee. "I thought about you when I got nervous." That helped me remember the words. When did those thank yous fade? When did her eyes stop seeing me as her father and start seeing me only as a bank account? The phone rang again. 14th time since I'd hung up. This time, she left a voicemail. "Dad, please answer. I've been thinking about what you said. I know I've been ungrateful. I know I've taken too much. Daniel's family is threatening to leave if we can't explain the finances. Just tell me what you want." What I wanted was something she couldn't give me anymore, 25 years of appreciation that had never been offered. What I needed now was proof she finally understood the cost of her entitlement. I printed the spreadsheet and stacked the supporting documents neatly into manila folders: education, transportation, housing, personal expenses, wedding costs. Each folder thick, each page undeniable. Evidence, plain and simple. Sunday morning dawned cool and sharp, the kind of March air that clears your head. My briefcase sat by the door, packed with 25 years of sacrifice turned into paperwork. Brooks and Associates had agreed to meet me on an emergency basis. 9 a.m. sharp. The law office carried the weight of authority: mahogany walls, shelves of heavy legal volumes, degrees in gold frames. Catherine Brooks herself sat across from me in a charcoal suit, silver hair pulled back tight. "Mr. Hale," she said, spreading my folders across the polished table, "I've reviewed what you sent ahead. I have to say, this is extraordinary record-keeping." Her finger traced the totals. Nearly $1 million over 25 years. Substantial, even by our standards. "I want this handled like business," I told her, settling deeper into the leather chair. No emotion. No more enabling. Olivia needs to face the numbers she's ignored all her life. And for the first time in decades, I felt like I was finally putting things in order. Catherine studied the stack of folders like a surgeon about to cut. Her pen scratched across a yellow legal pad, her voice calm but sharp as she mapped it all out. "Mr. Hale, the paper trail you've kept gives us options. We can treat this as gifts reclassified into debt, or as a promissory note gone unpaid. Either way, we're not short of angles." She outlined the plan step by step: first a demand letter, professional in tone but ironclad in weight. A detailed accounting, every dollar attached to proof. A 30-day deadline. And consequences if they ignored it. "This," she said, tapping her pad, "takes it out of the realm of family drama. We're converting emotion into contract law. Much cleaner that way." By 11 o'clock the paperwork was ready. Heavy letterhead, blunt language, and a bottom line that couldn't be ignored: $976,000 due within 30 days, or court would come calling. The courier had their instructions: hand delivery, signature required, no wiggle room. I drove home with my own copies, the leather folder sitting on the passenger seat like both a shield and a burden. Satisfaction rode shotgun, but so did a kind of sadness. A man doesn't raise a child dreaming he'll one day serve her with legal papers. But Olivia had built this cliff herself, all I did was make sure she saw how far the drop was. At 2:15 the call came. The courier confirmed delivery to the St. Anthony Hotel, Suite 1525. Signed and sealed, Olivia Hale Morgan. The wheels were officially in motion. I could picture it plain as day, the hotel desk ringing the bridal suite, Olivia assuming it was a vendor dropping off paperwork. Daniel puffing up, tearing open the envelope with his usual arrogance. And then the color draining from his face as he read. By 2:47 my phone lit up. Olivia's name flashing again and again. I let them stack into voicemails. Message 1, Dad, this letter, what is it? It can't be serious. Message 2, 900,000? That's insane. You never said they were loans. Message 3, please, just call me. Daniel's family is breathing down my neck. I can't answer their questions. Message 4, her voice breaking this time. I don't understand how everything fell apart so fast. I didn't pick up. Not yet. Up in that suite, Olivia and Daniel were learning what real accountability feels like. For 25 years she'd coasted on gifts. Now those gifts had been tallied, named, and turned into debt, recoverable debt, enforceable debt. The wedding fiasco was just the prelude. This was the show. Catherine had been clear about it: standard debt recovery. They'd need lawyers to answer. Lawyers cost money. Money they didn't have. Her calls kept coming all afternoon. 15 missed in total, 8 messages. Each one more desperate than the last. The woman who once told me I didn't belong at her wedding was now begging to belong in my good graces again. The irony didn't escape me. Finally, on the 16th attempt, I answered. "Dad, please," she blurted before I could speak. "We can be reasonable about this, can't we? That letter, it can't be real." "It's very real, Olivia. As real as the 30 days you now have to respond." "But, 900,000? That's impossible. You never said any of it was a loan. And I never said it was a gift," I told her flatly. "You just assumed." On the other end, I heard Daniel's voice, sharp, angry. Paper rustled. He was pacing, no doubt. "Olivia," I asked quietly, "tell me something. Who exactly are you planning to turn to for help with this? Who's going to bail you out?" Silence. Then a shaky answer. "Family, friends, people who care about me." "I see. Well, you've got 29 days left. I suggest you start dialing." And I hung up. The phone buzzed all afternoon, her name blinking like a distress flare. I didn't answer. I didn't listen to a single voicemail. By evening, the buzzing stopped. The silence that replaced it spoke louder than any words she could have offered. Monday morning, the quiet lingered. No messages. No begging. Just space. I went to the construction site, the place where my blood pressure always steadied. Machines growled, fresh dirt smelled of opportunity, and the frame of a new office complex rose under clear sky. Mark, my foreman, came over around 10. "Boss, you seem different today. Everything all right at home?" "Family matter," I told him, watching the excavator bite into earth. "Sometimes you've got to make hard calls. Kids or not, it's the only way they learn." Right then, my phone buzzed. A text from Olivia: "Dad, I've been calling everyone. Nobody can believe the amount. Please talk to me." I deleted it without a second thought. Not long after, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Olivia. "Aunt Catherine says she won't step in. She told me I need to learn responsibility." What does that even mean? An hour later, Sarah won't answer my calls. Lisa keeps pressing me about why I never held a job. Everyone's treating me like I'm the villain. The texts kept piling up, each one painting the same picture: my daughter's world shrinking fast. Her old college roommate grew uneasy the moment money came up. Her sorority sisters, who once cheered her luxury vacations, suddenly had no advice. And those so-called friends who enjoyed her generosity? Not one of them had the kind of cash she needed now. Daniel wasn't faring any better. Word reached me that his mother had called 3 times, demanding answers. His father wanted a formal, family meeting to talk reputation damage. His brother pressed him about what he had disclosed financially before the wedding. By Tuesday, it was plain as day: Olivia's support system was folding like wet cardboard under the weight of nearly $1 million in debt. The same people who'd enjoyed her gifts now had nothing to offer when the bill came due. Wednesday brought a different tone. "Dad, Daniel's family is talking annulment. They think he married me under false pretenses. Please, call me. We need to work this out." I almost chuckled. Daniel's family saw the truth quicker than he did. Thursday's text was shorter, sharper: "Nobody will help. Everyone has excuses. Daniel barely speaks to me. His parents want him to see a lawyer to protect their assets. I don't understand how everything flipped so fast." 25 days remained on the clock. Olivia was finally tasting the real meaning of independence, standing on your own when you'd never built the muscles to do it. Her education was right on schedule. Friday came with a silence that set my teeth on edge. No texts, no voicemails, nothing. I checked my phone twice just to be sure the thing still worked. The quiet didn't last. By Monday, the attack had begun. Erin, my assistant, knocked on my office door at 9 sharp. She carried a printed email like it was radioactive. Mr. Hale, this came in from the San Antonio Business Journal. They're asking whether family troubles are affecting Hale Construction's stability. I read it twice. Polite language covering pointed jabs about my sanity and how I treated family. Somebody was stirring the pot. Erin handed me her tablet next. A Facebook post was making the rounds, Olivia in her wedding gown, smiling like a magazine ad. Beneath it, paragraphs about a cruel father who had ruined her special day and was now demanding impossible sums out of spite. Over 200 shares. Hundreds of comments full of sympathy. Some of them tagging folks I'd worked with for decades. Then the calls started. Stephen Alvarez, 20 years pouring concrete on my sites. Richard, I'm seeing things online. Rumors about your daughter's wedding. People are asking questions. Bob, I told him, I've got documents that tell the real story. I hope so, he said. City officials are sniffing around, too. You know how politics can be. 3 more calls followed in less than an hour. All careful, all worried, all hinting at business concerns. It wasn't hard to trace the fingerprints. Daniel's family had reach, country clubs, charity boards, social networks where whispers moved faster than facts. They were pulling strings to paint Olivia as the poor victim of a cruel father. Local Facebook groups lit up with wild headlines. Construction boss demands $450,000 from his daughter. Another read, San Antonio businessman sues his own child for wedding expenses. Each retelling grew taller, nastier, and more damaging. By lunchtime I'd counted 7 calls from business contacts alone. Rotary Club wanted to know if I was stable enough to handle community projects. Contractors hinted they'd heard things that might sour our partnerships. Olivia and Daniel thought they were clever, fighting on the battlefield of reputation. In San Antonio, reputation is currency. Ruin a man's good name, and you try to ruin his living. But they'd overlooked one thing. I had the truth, organized, signed, and documented. At home, I opened the thick folders Catherine Brooks had helped me prepare. 25 years of canceled checks, bank transfers, receipts. Every dime of sacrifice logged in black and white. The proof Olivia never once asked to see, and now couldn't escape. After watching their smear campaign gain traction, I decided it was time to make some calls of my own. Catherine, I said over the phone, schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. We're going public, every dollar, every record. Her voice came back calm but cautious. Richard, once this leaves the shadows, there's no pulling it back. They dragged it into the open first, I told her. Now they get the truth, raw and documented. The next 6 hours ran like one of my job site schedules, tight, deliberate, no wasted motion. First, I phoned the San Antonio Business Journal directly, offering complete financial transparency. Then I called the 3 reporters Olivia and Daniel had already lobbied, promising them not opinions, but hard evidence. Most important of all, I reached out to the people who had known me for decades, business partners who'd walked sites beside me in the rain, community leaders who'd watched Hale Construction grow from a rusty pickup truck to a 60-man operation, neighbors who knew I never missed a deadline or a payroll. Mark, I said to my foreman, start calling every subcontractor on our list. Tomorrow there's going to be a story, and it'll set the record straight. By dinner time, I had confirmation, the San Antonio Business Journal would run a feature, and the local TV stations had agreed to cover the press conference. Copies of all documentation were collated and ready for distribution. Olivia's attack had lasted 3 days. My answer would take one morning. The truth, once nailed down in black and white, always weighs heavier than gossip and tears. There were still 24 days left on the legal deadline. By the time the sun set tomorrow, Olivia would finally grasp that reputation games aren't won with lies, they're won with substance. Tuesday morning came sharp and clear. At exactly 9 o'clock, I released the flood. 25 years of records, broadcast everywhere they tried to poison my name. Bank statements showing $937,000 spent. Spreadsheets breaking it down, school tuition, cars, housing, clothes, trips, even that wedding. Photos of Olivia through the years, each smiling snapshot tied directly to the sacrifices behind it. The headline I chose said it plain, 25 years of support, documented. The effect was immediate. Within an hour my phone was buzzing, but this time the voices carried something different: respect, not suspicion. "Richard," said Paul Bennett from Bennett Electrical, "I never knew the half of it. My kids are in college, and I'm spending 15 grand a year. You poured that out every semester." Stephen Alvarez called again, his tone heavy with guilt. "I owe you an apology, partner. After seeing those bank records, I understand. That kind of entitlement would crush any man." Social media flipped like a switch. Screenshots of my statement spread faster than Olivia's tear-stained post ever had. People shared the evidence with captions like, "This is what real sacrifice looks like. No wonder he's asking for repayment. He funded an entire lifestyle, and she still threw him out." Catherine called at 11, sounding downright triumphant. "Richard, you've done it. The Business Journal is running a feature on entitlement and responsibility. You didn't just defend yourself, you turned this into a lesson for the whole community." By noon, Olivia's heartfelt Facebook post looked pitiful stacked against hard evidence. Folks weren't buying her victim story anymore. They were seeing the receipts: $52,000 tuition checks, 3 BMWs, luxury apartments, designer shopping trips. The contractors rallied. The Rotary Club put out a public statement in my favor. Even the mayor's office chimed in, talking about how important financial responsibility is inside families. Mark texted me from the site, "Boss, the whole crew's talking. Everyone's behind you." Nobody can believe the nerve Olivia had. Local TV picked it up as a human interest story. All they had to do was show the records and let the viewers judge for themselves. And judge they did. Olivia's narrative collapsed under the weight of the truth. Her attempt to ruin me had backfired so badly it was almost comical. San Antonio's business community, folks who knew what honesty and sweat looked like, saw right through her. Daniel's powerful family name didn't protect them anymore. It just spotlighted the kind of people they decided to welcome into their circle. By the time the sun went down that evening, the tide had completely turned. Nobody was buying Olivia and Daniel's story anymore. They weren't poor victims of a heartless father, they looked exactly like what they were: spoiled and entitled, taking advantage of someone who had spent 25 years giving them everything. My records told a story their crocodile tears couldn't rewrite. Every receipt, every tuition payment, every bank statement was another page in the book of sacrifices I had made for Olivia. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from her: "Dad, please take down those financial records. People are saying awful things about us." I didn't answer. I deleted it. 23 days remained on the deadline. The education was still in session. Meanwhile, across town in their hotel room, Daniel's phone rang at 6:47 Wednesday morning, shaking them both awake. Olivia told me later how the air in that room had felt heavy, like the walls themselves were pressing in, thick with the weight of gossip, social media backlash, and the pressure of debts they couldn't even begin to solve. Daniel answered, and the voice of his father filled the room, steady, commanding, a man used to being obeyed. "We need to talk. Now." Olivia watched the blood drain from her husband's face as he listened. His replies were short, almost robotic. "Yes, sir. I understand. No, I didn't realize the extent of it. The documentation caught us off guard. The fallout is worse than expected." The call lasted just 12 minutes, but it was enough to change everything. When Daniel hung up, he stared at the phone like it had just delivered a death sentence. "My family wants me home," he finally said. Olivia's voice cracked with panic. "Home? Daniel, it's just temporary. Your father will calm down once he understands." Daniel cut her off, sharp and final. "Olivia, stop. This isn't temporary. My dad's already gotten calls from business partners. 3 of them. The country club is buzzing about our name being tied to financial fraud." "Fraud? That's insane. This is just a family fight that got out of control." But Daniel wasn't listening. He was already yanking clothes from drawers, shoving them into his suitcase with jerky, angry motions. "Your father published bank statements showing nearly $1 million. To everyone in our circle, that looks like fraud, or at best, deception. And deception kills reputations." Olivia felt panic clawing at her chest. "You're not leaving me. We just got married 6 days ago. 6 days, Daniel snapped, that managed to destroy my reputation, my family's standing, and probably my career. I can't afford to let this ruin everything. I have a trust fund, business opportunities, relationships that matter. I can't throw it all away for this. What about me? What about us? What about our vows? For the first time since he'd picked up that call, Daniel looked at her directly. His face was stone. What vows, Olivia? You dragged me into a disaster. Your father's demanding repayment we can't afford, and you've got nothing. No assets, no savings, no income. My family's lawyer says I need to protect myself. And he's right. Olivia whispered, broken, but I'm your wife. Daniel's response landed like a punch. You're not a wife, you're a liability. You bring nothing but debt and drama. My family won't be dragged down with you. As if to drive the knife deeper, Olivia's phone buzzed with a text. It was from Daniel's mother. Olivia, dear, Daniel needs to come home. Family obligations, you understand. The sugary politeness made it sting even worse. Daniel, please. We can fix this. My father's angry now, but he still loves me. It'll blow over. Daniel pointed at her laptop, where social media comments still scrolled like a digital mob. Blow over? Your father dumped 25 years of records on the public. Everyone sees you for what you are. People are calling you a trust fund brat who's never worked a day in her life. And they're right. The truth cut deeper than any insult. She hadn't worked. Not really. Every dime she ever spent had come from me. I was being a daughter, she whispered. Daughters are supposed to be supported by their fathers. Not for almost $1 million. Not for 25 years with no gratitude. Not like this. Daniel zipped his suitcase shut with a harsh rip of the zipper. His voice was cold, but steady. My family builds things, companies, charities, value. What have you ever built except bills? Her chest tightened, as if her very identity was crumbling. Where will I go? I don't even have money for this hotel. My cards are maxed. Everyone's ignoring me. Daniel paused at the door, his hand on the handle. Then call your dad. Apologize. Take responsibility. Maybe he'll help you finally grow up. Tears welled in her eyes. Daniel, please, don't leave me. Not like this. He didn't soften much, but his tone lowered a notch. Olivia, I've been alone since the day we said, I do. All you ever brought into this marriage were demands and expenses. Maybe losing everything will finally teach you what your father's money never could. And with that, he walked out. The door closed with a dull finality, leaving her standing in a hotel room that suddenly felt bigger than a cathedral and emptier than a tomb. Her wedding gown still hung in the hotel closet, a white ghost of 6 days that had destroyed her world. In less than a week she'd lost her husband, her in-laws, her friends, and the safety net she'd always assumed would be there. For the first time in her 28 years, my daughter, Olivia Hale Morgan, was utterly and completely alone. She sat on the edge of that stiff hotel bed and pulled out her phone. On the screen was my number, the same one she hadn't dared call since that first desperate night. Now it looked like a lifeline she didn't deserve but couldn't live without. 22 days left on the legal deadline. 22 days to find nearly $1 million she didn't have, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to rebuild what she'd torn down. The call connected on the first ring. Hello, Olivia. My voice wasn't warm, but it wasn't cruel either. Just calm. Just steady. Dad, her voice cracked, small and broken. I don't even know where to begin. Start with the truth. Do you understand what's happened this week? Her eyes moved across that empty room, the untouched dress, Daniel's missing suitcase, the laptop still open with strangers' comments shredding her to pieces. For the first time, all 28 years of careless entitlement came crashing down like a building collapse. I lost everything. Daniel walked out this morning. His family wants nothing to do with me. I don't even have money to cover tonight's bill. And, Dad, everybody hates me. I let the word sit before I asked, do you understand why? This time, there were no excuses. No finger pointing. Just the bitter truth she could no longer run from. Because I treated you like a bank account. Because I never thanked you for anything. Because I was selfish, entitled, and cruel. The line stayed quiet except for the sound of my breathing. Then I told her, go on. I saw the records you published, $900,000 over 25 years. I never once asked where it came from. I never thought about what you gave up for me. And then I kicked you out of my own wedding, a wedding you paid for. And when you stood up to me, I tried to destroy your name. I lied online. I dragged Daniel's family into it. I became everything wrong with spoiled kids who never grow up. Her words tumbled out like poison being drained from an old wound. Olivia, I said softly, do you remember when you were 8, after your mother died? You'd hug me every night and tell me I was the best daddy in the world. I remember. Her voice broke again. I wanted to give you everything because I loved you. But somewhere along the way, giving you everything became the very reason you stopped loving me back. I never stopped, she whispered. I just stopped showing it. Stopped being grateful. Stopped being your daughter and turned into a consumer. What do you want from me now? That was the question she feared most, because it wasn't about hotel bills, it was about the future, about whether there was a future between us. I want your respect. I want to be the daughter you deserve. I want to grow up, work, support myself. But first, she swallowed hard. I need help surviving long enough to prove I can change. What kind of help? Enough money for a week in this hotel. Just until I find a job. Any job. If I help you this time, Olivia, there will be conditions. Anything, she said quickly. You'll find work in 2 weeks. I don't care if it's cleaning offices or bussing tables. Pride is a luxury you can't afford anymore. I understand. No more financial requests for 6 months. You'll live on what you earn. Yes. And when we talk each week, it'll be as 2 adults, not a parent and a dependent child. I want that. More than anything. I want to earn back the right to be your daughter. Then I'll transfer $1,000. That's 1 week in the hotel and enough for groceries. After that, it's on you. Dad, thank you. I don't deserve. You're right. You don't deserve it. But everybody deserves one chance to grow up, even at 28. There was a pause, then I added, I've always loved you, Olivia. Now I need to see if I can respect you. I won't let you down. Not this time. We'll see. Love you, sweetheart. The call ended, but for the first time in days, she didn't feel swallowed by despair. It wasn't relief, not yet. It was possibility. She opened her laptop, wiped her eyes, and typed jobs in San Antonio into the search bar. Every listing looked terrifying: waiting tables, answering phones, entry-level office work. Terrifying, yes, but not impossible. For the first time in her life, Olivia Hale Morgan was about to earn something herself. The real education had just begun. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.